There's definitely a lot of drive and ambition, and I feel a lot of fire energy with this card. But at the same time, this card is to remind ourselves that sometimes willpower could potentially be less effective than we would like it to be. Sometimes applying our own force and our own assertions may actually be the wrong thing to do. Hey, you're listening to Tarot Songs, a podcast mixing tarot cards with original music created by Sydney, Australia-based artist Feloka. That's me. Each episode, I go into detail over a tarot card and then I layer it with an original piece of music as its soundtrack. The music is especially created with the particular tarot card in mind, making it a very unique listening experience. For the one-card readings, I refer to the Rider-Waite-Smith deck and Barbara Moore's Steampunk deck. I also refer to texts by Joan Bunning, Barbara Moore, and others. It's a pretty exciting journey. I'm really looking forward to reinterpreting the tarot with authentic, original music, and I hope you'll stay with me on the journey of exploration and imagination. I do have to give out a trigger warning, as these cards are inquisitive by nature. I reference experiences, some of my own, some are of others, that reflect trauma, PTSD, complex trauma, anxiety, depression, and other experiences, and feelings that may be uncomfortable or that may feel unsafe for you. The show notes will tell you where to skip ahead so that you can go straight to the music piece, and I will always play the music piece as a solo track towards the end of each podcast episode so that it may hopefully help you facilitate your own readings or your own creative practice, whatever it may be. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on social media so that whenever a new episode is released, you'll be notified and you can take a listen. Let's get started on today's episode. Hey, and thank you for joining me for the 27th episode of Tarot Songs. I'll be talking through about the Chariot card today. The Chariot is one of the major Arcana cards, and it's number 7 in the major Arcana cycle. And that's quite relevant in the sense that the number 7 is actually quite early in the Fool's journey. When the Chariot appears, she has mastered all the lessons, or the Fool has mastered all the lessons of the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress and Emperor, the Hierophant, and the Lovers. And she's reached a point where she's feeling really confident about herself. She's feeling assured, she's feeling assertive, there's a bit of ego involved, but overall, she has a lot of willpower. She knows exactly what direction she wants to go in, and it seems like nothing can stop her at this point. And this is completely deserved because she has done the work of all the previous steps, and she has reached a certain level of self-mastery. There's a lot of assertion that could potentially look like aggressive movements as well. There's a lot of certainty with this card. But notice that it's number 7 out of the entire major Arcana cards. So our character doesn't know that there is still quite a fair journey ahead of her. It seems that with the Chariot card comes with a certain type of sense of focus. There's definitely a lot of drive and ambition, and I feel a lot of fire energy with this card. But at the same time, this card is to remind ourselves that sometimes willpower could potentially be less effective than we would like it to be. Sometimes applying our own force and our own assertions may actually be the wrong thing to do. And there is a requirement for balance here. When the Chariot card presents itself in your reading, you're looking at achieving victories and winning through sheer willpower. So your ego and your drive and your self-mastery is pretty much propelling you to reach your goals. It is a healthy sense of ego, and you're not hurting other people while trying to achieve your goals, because that would be a really bad thing. And the key term here when it comes to the Chariot card is achieving success or winning or victories must be achieved within the right circumstances, within the right context of when you know to assert yourself and when you know when to allow things to be. And this is a key takeaway from a reflection that Jessica Dorr had written about the Chariot card. And she writes that mythology around struggle and then attaining one's desires suggests that achieving what we want is the goal of life. But is it? We need willpower, but also we need willingness, the ability to accept when life tells us no. If we only exert will and never allow things to be the way that they are, then we will get stuck. And I think that's really quite profound in the context of trauma survivors, because some of us in our healing journey from our trauma, we are actually trying to find that equilibrium between the way that we were brought up and the trauma that has stifled us and have oppressed our ability to express ourselves. That sense of healthy self-esteem that hadn't existed because, we were too busy trying to survive our traumas. And then once the triggers for our traumas, or the source of which our traumas have now in the present time been removed from our lives, there's that pendulum swing where we're trying to find our equilibrium. We're swinging from one extreme end where we have been oppressed and we can't assert ourselves, we can't give ourselves what we want, we can't explore our own needs and the things that will make us happy, the things that will upset us. Like self-exploration was severely dulled, to then the pendulum swinging to the other end of the extreme where we're like, oh, I'm free to do whatever I want because, I don't have those original responsibilities anymore, so I'm just going to do whatever I want, and I want to be confident, and I want to be out and about, I want to be assertive, I'm completely sure of everything. But in actual case, the best path is actually somewhere in between, where we acknowledge our own strength and our powers through experience, through interacting with other people, not hurting them, but still holding a sense of healthy self-esteem. But at the same time, accepting that a lot of things are outside of our control, and that people are going to tell us no. People and environments are not going to always give us what we want. That how we see things may not actually be the way that they are. And we have to be ready and willing to accept that form of no. Or really, it's just someone else's boundaries. And we have to accept that, there's a no. And instead of pushing against the grain and trying to make sure that their no becomes a yes, or if we obsess and continue to just focus on this thing that we're not able to get, that we acknowledge that process and then just let go, because otherwise we get stuck and we keep trying to butt our heads, against the wall, and the wall isn't relenting. So at some point we're going to have to go, hey, this is not working, it's not effective. Maybe I need to actually look at achieving balance, and that is a good place in between asserting healthy amounts of willpower, but also a good place where we can learn to let go of things that don't serve us and that aren't for us.